Hey everybody, thank you for joining me for another video. Today we're going to be talking about Resident Evil 4. Now before we jump into this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe while you're at it. And also too, go ahead and share with your friends. It will definitely help out the channel. And let's just go and jump right into this thing. Alright, so full disclosure, this was my first experience playing a Resident Evil game per recommendation of one of my good friends. So I went into this completely blind, not knowing anything of Resident Evil or anything, in regards to them, whether or not they tie it to one another. And I'm glad it was this one because apparently this is a really good one to start with. Alright, so this is a remastered slash remake of the original. So again, like when I said I went in here completely blind, I had no idea whether or not there were some changes made, whether or not there was like a shot for shot of the original. But I will say from start to finish, I had a good time with this one. That was my just initial thoughts. Um, First of all, one of the greatest things that I noticed that it was a third person shooter, and that was definitely a green flag for me. I mean, when I think about titles like Uncharted or Red Dead Redemption, those type of games where it's just a third person shooter where I feel like I'm in more control, where I can see everything. I've always enjoyed those type of games, and I feel like this game did such a good job in creating those great environments, and especially handling like the gun control and handling the combat system. But we're going to talk about combat and all that stuff later. I also enjoy the pacing of this game as well. From again from start to finish, the mission was to find the president's daughter, and everything that you did correlated to finding her, and I thought they were very successful in that aspect. Just to continue along with that theme of the pacing of the game, there were moments of high stress, and then it would tone down just a little bit, and it's almost like the developers just kept you guessing, like you just never knew when something was going to happen, which I really appreciated. So if anything, I was always on guard. I never knew when somebody was going to pop out of a corner. Because again, this was my first time playing Resident Evil. I didn't know. And then also too, I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about boss fights later on, but it did the same thing with the boss fights. I didn't know what they were capable of. I didn't know any kind of move sets. So again, this game was full of surprises, and I enjoyed every bit, again from start to finish. Now, I mentioned earlier that this game caters to somebody who's a third person fan. And I will say by no means this game isn't perfect when it comes to the mechanics of, the aiming and shooting and things like that. But it does have a parry system, which I appreciate. And you can also roundhouse kick somebody, which I thought was hilarious at times. Um, I will say I guess my only negative complaint about the shooting system is, because I'm used to, being like a Nathan Drake where I can kind of roll around or even hide behind cover. As far as I remember, you couldn't do this on this game, and that's the only negative thing I got to say about this. The combat. But other than that, man, it was pretty straightforward. I mean, no other real complaints, but it was just personal preference as far as like hiding and, you know more fluidity. But other than that, it was pretty good. Can't really complain about it. All right, so Resident Evil 4 is about Special Agent Leon Kennedy. Now, this guy is on a mission to rescue the president's daughter, Ashley Graham. Now, this woman has been kidnapped by this, I don't know, I guess like a religious cult. And from what I gather, they're trying to, I don't know, it's like some kind of insect or some kind of virus they're trying to put inside of her, and then just even the people on the island to get, mind control, get them to do some crazy stuff. But it was weird. It was crazy. Um, and that's pretty much what the story was about. And it was very simple, and I feel like that's the best part. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. That was it. And throughout this game, you get to see the effects of this virus and how it takes hold of the people that are, on this island. And you get to, I'm talking about some of the characters that were affected. I mean, these led to some interesting fights. Whether or not they were just common folk, just mindlessly marching after you. Then you had some where their heads turned into some kind of tentacle like creature. Let's see. Then like some of the boss fights, man. Let's just talk about that real quick. Let's see. I don't remember, and I'll admit I don't remember everybody, which I should have taken notes on. Um, I believe one of the guys' name was like Ramon, like a really small guy, one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in video game history. But that boss fight was fun. I mean, it took place in, it looks like a church cathedral or something like that. Uh, like he went from like a small being to like this ginormous insect like creature, and it was just cool. It was thrilling, it was fun, it was challenging. It's just coming up with different strategies on how to take this thing down. uh all the boss fights were like that. And also too, from what I gather, I don't know if it was Leon's former mentor or whatever his name was. uh I wish I remembered his name, but like there was apparently some history between the two, and this guy, he was infected as well, but I don't think his was as bad, as the other guys. But he went through some kind of transformation. But he, that was a fun fight as well, and I think this game does a fantastic job with like the boss fights too, dude. It was, um, like I said, it was all the boss fights were very stressful. It's everyone was different in their own right. All of them varied in size, and it was, again, there were moments where I felt like I was gonna run out of ammo, and if you did, well, good luck. That's all I had to say. Now, another thing that stood out to me was the graphics. Now, the level design overall for this game was absolutely beautiful. Because it felt like this felt like a really big game, especially when you look at the maps and everything. Like everything feels big. Now, when you actually when you look at it as a whole, it wasn't all that big. Everything was linear, and I really do think they did a fantastic job of doing that as well, portraying that and making you feel so immersed in this environment, um, and just creating just different layers of where like I said, I think I believe we were in Spain, but like I said, I really do think they did a great job of creating what we were in. Also, too, the character design was pretty cool as well. Everybody had their own different personalities, different looks. Um, Speaking of characters, one of my favorite characters was the merchant. He would always just have this crazy dialogue with Leon, call him, the stranger and everything. That was just hilarious within itself. Um, but other than that, man, the voice acting was cool. It was great. Everything was well done as far as I remember, and it's definitely one I would play again. Speaking of playing again, like once you beat the game, you can unlock certain features as far as unlimited ammo for. I believe you could do it for most, if I'm not mistaken, or all the guns. I had a couple of playthroughs because I did happen to platinum this game, so I definitely went through and I unlocked the infinite ammo for like the handgun, and I eventually got the rocket launcher, and I even unlocked Ashley's armor. But other than that, guys, I want to know your thoughts about Resident Evil 4, whether or not you played it, whether or not you liked it. Leave your comments down below and let's discuss it. Until next time, peace.